Well, my story's a little bit different. I don't have the years of missing time that Duncan did, and I really was kind of clueless up until about 3 years ago. I knew there was something wrong, but, being a mind-controlled super soldier was not top on my list of things that were probably wrong with me. I have one actual memory that I'd never been able to reconcile, which was I was a very young child, about 6. I was living on a university campus, taken into a community center with a bunch of children, and we were playing, and I remember I was playing on the floor, pushing a fire truck around, and I looked up, and there was a woman standing in the doorway looking at me very strangely, very intently, and then the next thing I knew, I was sucked out of my body, and I was looking at myself through her eyes, and I was still moving the fire truck.
Wow.
And then that's the last thing I remember, and I never really knew what to make of that, and until later, when we started putting pieces together, I think that may have been where they may have identified me for the other track. Duncan went sort of on the super soldier track. I sort of got put on the psychic remote viewing track, although I was trained for combat as well.
You see, what they did is they did what was called tweening. They tweened us together to operate as a pair. Not a team, but a pair, to operate as one. And a little later we'll get into some of the actual training things that they had us go through. But what I want to touch on with what Ax just so eloquently said, remember, in all the interviews that you and I have done, when we talked about the hardware store, where the lady standing behind me while I'm putting the puzzle together,
right?
We always assumed it was the actual puzzle itself that was the key, all right?
Right.
While that is maybe one tooth on the key, it's not the entire key. The key was the lady standing behind me who was psychically guiding me to put the puzzle together, to see if I would be a good receiver, a psychic receiver, as where Ax was the psychic sender. That's one of the ways in which we work together. She sends, I receive.
Wow. Okay.
So when you're in the battlefield, I think anyone can imagine what a tremendous asset that could be.
Yeah. Yeah, she can tell you where to...
Well, not only that, but when she goes out, she would go out of body and could be 1,000 yards down the battlefield.
Yeah.
Relaying the information back to me. Think about it. It's phenomenal.
It is, yeah. You'd mentioned before that you'd ran into other people that you'd been kind of tied to, that much like Ax, where they had trained you to be partners with them, or you were part of it. In some cases, you were part of a group, like a recon group or something, and you did missions with a whole group of people. So it seems to me like you had multiple areas that you were involved in here, multiple facets of direction.
When we were on different assignments, to where she was basically the operator, and I was there to make sure everything proceeded smoothly and she didn't get hurt.
You were both involved in this projection. You were talking about the out-of-body experiences you've had where, you were sent to far-off locations to do a lot of different tasks. But then, of course, you did more stuff in the field as a soldier, and she was doing the astral travel. So she would go into a place to do that, and you, in essence, were her bodyguard, her cover, while she was in this sleep state, correct?
Yeah, the thing about going out of body is you have to leave your body somewhere when you do it. So in a combat situation, that can get a little dicey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is mind-blowing. Once again, thank you, Duncan, for blowing our minds here tonight. Wow. I mean, this is just crazy, wild stuff. So Ax, didn't mean to interrupt you. I'll let you keep going there. Now, did you have something like Duncan happen where something triggered this memory resurgence?
I did. It was a really bizarre experience, though. I had a car accident myself that was staged, but that did not trigger memories. I had an MRI. I didn't explode the machine. But I did have a very bizarre situation how I found Duncan in the first place. I basically had a memory come back about 45 seconds before my friend said, "Hey, check out this website." And I went, "Oh, this is kind of boring. I'm not really into conspiracy stuff. I believe it's real. I'm just not interested." And then I went and sat down and I saw his video and I was like, "Wait a minute. What's going on here?" A minute before I'd just been shown something, and I tried to deny it, because it just seemed so fantastical and unbelievable. I thought, I recognize this guy. I know him. And I freaked out for about 5 months before I got the courage to contact him, and even then I was too scared to contact him by email, so I contacted him psychically, thinking, okay, if he doesn't respond, then I'm crazy. And lo and behold, the next day on his website, the things that I had said to him were posted there by him. And that's when the bottom fell out of my world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it went from being kind of a deja vu to being a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, I still struggle with, I can't believe this is real. I mean, I do believe it's real, but it's just very difficult to absorb. I mean, I keep saying, 1 minute you think all you've ever killed is a houseplant, and the next minute, not so much.
Wow.
It's very difficult.
That's mind-blowing, for sure. And the thing about this whole story is, and what makes it so fascinating to me is, it goes on all the time, and this is something that's been coming out more and more. And since Duncan was first on the show, I've even read more about it, and more people are coming out about it. And Duncan was like the first. And when he and I first talked, I tell you what, like I said, my skin was crawling, but it was the most fascinating interview. And so many things came out at that point. And Duncan was still remembering things. Even that night, he was getting flashes while he was on the show. Does this happen with you? When you're talking to someone, do flashes just keep coming to you all the time? And do you also recall these really fragmented childhood flashes?
Oh, well, I mean, when we talk to each other all the time, that's how we get memories back. And we don't push it, but then something will trigger a memory, and then we'll work with that, and we'll remember it, and we'll write it down, and sometimes we'll be able to expand on it. It's really difficult to, you can't plan it, so we just find that talking about it eventually brings back the memories, and, some of the memories are really difficult, and others aren't. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And also, if I can add to that, whoever gets the memory back, the other plays devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm. All the time. And
the devil's advocate tries to disprove the memory. Try to find, every way possible to say, no, it's not. It could have been this, could have been that, could have been that. And then that's when we will jointly and separately start to talk to other people that we know. And like I've always said, we try to have 3 points of reference, 3 points of proof before we ever come back and say this happened.
Yeah.
It's so neat now, Duncan, because you were so alone before, and it was so difficult to get anyone to and like you said, you would reach out to people, they would reach out to you, you would connect, and then they would disappear. No one knew what happened to them. So it's really nice that now you have someone that you're able to discuss this with and work through these things, and it's great that you're able to help each other.
Yeah.
It is, extremely so. But, we still have that happen. We will have people contact us and say, I remember you both, I remember you, and all this and that, and they'll give us a little information, and then, bam, they disappear.
Oh,
scary.
So that's still
that's
goes
been
on.
really hard. Yeah. But it has, Duncan and I we talk pretty much every day, and he's kept me secret for about 3 years now.
wow.
And I just felt like it was time to come out. And, I've seen all the flack he's taken, and he's protected me this whole time, and finally, it's time.
Now the cat's out of the bag.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so to speak.
So to speak, and it's a big one, yeah. Wow. Duncan, you had talked to me before about losing time, and it hadn't happened for a while. But now that you've discovered these new implants, is there time